This is Radar from the Red Table, coming at you another edition of Movie Room Observations number 195. The first movie I watched was the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and it's almost 2 hours long. And again, I don't know how kids can sit through movies that are 2 hours long, let alone adults. Number one, it's like a stop motion, so it's weird, interesting animation. They kind of took the original story and it's been made in other movies I saw recently, and his version of Pinocchio's story and his father Geppetto's story. So it was interesting. Kate Blanchett, Tilda Swinton, and Ewan McGregor and Christoph Waltz were characters in it. Ewan McGregor was the cricket, so it wasn't that bad. It was entertaining, but it wasn't amazing. I thought it was an average movie that was way too long about a kid's story, but not bad. The library had to buy a Criterion Collection version of it. Then I watched with a friend the movie Sympathy for the Devil with Joel Kinnaman and Nicolas Cage. And again, barely 90 minutes. We don't understand why Nicolas Cage is in all these movies. Some of them are terrible straight-to-DVD movies, and some of them are not. But it's a weird random movie where Nicolas Cage, kidnaps this guy in his car going, drive me to my grandmother's or my mother's. And it turns into some whole revenge thing with killing and diner. And his hair is red, his beard is red, like he's the devil. And my friend was telling me, man, the guy playing the dude in the car is such a terrible actor. And then I realized now it's Joel Kinnaman. I'm like, he just wasn't acting really well. And the movie wasn't that clear, that great. The revenge, if he knows him or not. And it was okay, but sorry, Nicolas Cage, it's probably one of the worst movies you made. And then I watched Return to Seoul, which was considered by Rotten Tomatoes a fresh movie, and it was almost 2 hours, and it was in subtitles because it's in French, but there's also Korean and stuff going in it where this woman's adopted by French parents, and she somehow ends up in Korea, and she knows people, and she's trying to see her adoptive mother, but it doesn't work. She meets her adoptive dad, but she doesn't want to go either. And then she's self-destructing her life with her relationships and her friendships. And I don't think it was a good movie. I thought this lady has no redeeming qualities about her, and she wasn't that interesting. More interesting was the dude she was sleeping with and some of her friends and her family and stuff. Oh, her drunk biological dad kept calling and texting her. Oh, boo-hoo for her. So yeah, I don't understand how this movie gets certified rotten fresh. Then I watched the movie My Happy Ending with Andy McDowell and a Muslim woman, an old lady, and another woman. And it was basically where she's playing a famous star who finds out that she has cancer, and she has to go to this hospital. She's in the public, and she doesn't want to do treatment. She wants to live her life. And all of them are telling them their cancer stories, and it's all sad and depressing. And her business partner is apparently her ex-sister-in-law, and it's just okay, cool. In my opinion, this was boring in a way, and a little bit too much humor in a movie about ladies with cancer, but she's a very good actress, so she's very convincing in this role. And again, when it's barely 80-something minutes, it's a good movie you put on in the background, unlike the long movies that I had mentioned before. Then I watched the movie Assassin with Dominic Purcell and Bruce Willis and this Nomada Namadu. And this movie was so confusing between me and my friend who's a huge Bruce Willis fan. This is how it is. Bruce Willis has this illness. And he made all of these movies in a very short period of time on low-budget films, straight to DVD. They recycle a lot of the character actors and Chad Michael Murray or other people to be in these movies, or Lachlan Moreno. And they're 80 to 90 minutes. They're not even that long. Some are good, some are bad. Some get sequels, some get a trilogy. And this one was so confusing that apparently instead of murdering people, they have a system where you can go inside people's bodies and control them and kill people that you can't get close to unless you know that person or you're related to them. And apparently both her and her husband were in the military, and he's in a coma, and apparently his subconscious is lost or something when the body he was hosting was killed. And they're trying to stop this bad guy, but they don't know the bad guy is him. And apparently he's controlling Dominic Purcell's body, and Dominic Purcell is just barely using what he is, which is action actor, not a whole soliloquy about his love life and everything. And then you got the woman who's the character, but then you got the woman she's controlling the body, and it's confusing to know who's who and what's going on. And then there's a baby thrown into it, and she was a pregnant lady in one of the bodies she was controlling, and then there was two people helping Bruce Willis, and most everyone died in the movie. So I was okay, cool. I fell asleep because I was exhausted that day. But I'm thinking to myself, this movie's not that good. This is one of the worst Bruce Willis straight-to-DVD movies. And I understand with his illness, he doesn't stand or move around a lot or do a lot of action scenes. And there's a lot of these cutaways to other people, but even those plots are a lot better than this. Then I watched Pet Sematary Bloodlines, and they're like, this is a terrifying untold chapter from the Stephen King's chilling novel, The Pet Sematary, and I watched the first one, and it was a typical short 80 to 90 minute horror film. It's not too long. This one's also like 80 minutes. The thing I liked about this movie is I'm watching this, and I'm like, ooh, Pam Grier, she's the male character. She's a good actress. Ooh, David Duchovny from X-Files and Californication. That makes it even good. And then the woman who was in this movie, I've seen her in multiple things before. I'm not sure 100% what I've seen her, the girlfriend or even some of the parents. But, you know, it was interesting enough that they wanted to give you an origin story of where, like, this Native American burial ground is and what it does to the people, and everyone's trying to leave town. Oh, yeah, Natalie Ann Lynn, the girlfriend, I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. And then they had, like, 2 Native American characters. And then they had, like, the guy's father. And his mother was nice. And then they have, like, the other people in town. Where David Duchovny's son. But the point of the movie is like, literally, some creepy things are happening. And apparently if you bury anything in the pet cemetery, it comes back to life and tries to kill you. So Duchovny's character does something he's not supposed to. And it comes back to haunt everyone. And apparently, like, Pam Grier, the sheriff, the main character's father and, like, someone else, they're on, like, a council of people who are, like, the original settlers of that small little town. And because they're part of that small little town of Ludlow, they have to keep the pact of trying to protect things, and it's just from generation to generation. So I thought it was better than the first Pet Sematary movie, but not that amazing. It's just more, ooh, I know these actors, or I don't know these actors, and I'm like, that's cool to see them. Because usually David Duchovny is not in bad movies. There's been some times, but mostly good times. Then I watched The Armageddon Time, you know, and that was an hour and 46 minutes, not 150-something minutes with credits, because that's like way too much time difference. And I like this. Anthony Hopkins playing like a son of a person who escaped, like, Europe during the Holocaust and whatnot. And he's Jewish, and his family has money, apparently, even though they're teacher. And then his son-in-law is like a handyman, and he's Jewish, and they're like, whatever their last name is, they, like, it was something Steen, so they had to, like, change it off. And then Anne Hathaway's playing his daughter, and she has to have, like, a New York Jewish accent, so that was interesting. And it's hard to raise these 2 boys in the current time in, like, the 80s. One son, they send a Catholic private school, which I think is stupid. I'd rather just send my kid to public school, but then his kid gets in trouble with this black friend he becomes friends with. You know, his other grandparents or aunts are living there, and it's just an interesting, nice movie. It kind of just abruptly ends a little bit, and it's kind of a little depressing, some of the ending of the movie, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't amazing, and Jeremy Strong was the dad, but it's an average okay movie. That's how I felt when watching My Happy Ending. It was okay. So if you're going to ask me what the best movie I watched this week, by default, it's going to have to be Pet Sematary, because I thought it was an interesting enough concept with enough good actors, and if the Armageddon Time and My Happy Ending were average movies, I think Return of the Soul was below average. Sorry to Rotten Fresh Tomatoes. Send Me for the Devil was one of Nicolas Cage's worst movies. Assassin was one of the worst Nicolas Cage movies. And then Pinocchio, again, it's in the middle. I don't think it's going to get this all critically acclaimed thing here to be like, oh my God, this is so amazing. The movie's been made before plenty of times. I saw one at least 3-4 years ago. So again, not really like groundbreaking on making Pinocchio one more time. Thank you for listening to this Movie Review Observation number 195. For On the Red Table Block, I'm Raider. See you guys next time.